Hello, everybody. Welcome back to One Leeds. Welcome back to Connor here, and we are back with another video. Today, we're going to be talking a little bit about rumours, a little bit about system, and a little bit about future-proofing under Jesse Marsch, which I think is a bit of essential conversation, really, at the moment, isn't it? Because I think we're going to see wholesale changes when it comes to Leeds United. I'm hoping so anyway. I'm not talking about the entire team out, but I think Leeds United needs several changes to be able to fit this way of playing the 4-2-2-2 system, which really focuses on attacking playmakers, attacking midfielders, half spaces, aggressive pressing with units instead of individuals. So, yeah, I think that it's absolutely pivotal that we talk about this, really, especially leading up to the summer transfer window, which I think for Leeds United is going to be absolutely monumental, because what we don't want, everybody, we don't want another repeat of this season. We don't want the same mistakes. And I think it's absolutely key that we don't make the same ones. Yet the other day in Angus Kinnear's program notes, he was talking once again about the small squad expectation going into next season, which once again I still think is the wrong move. We heard Victor Orta talk about it. People were responding on my video saying, well, Connor, it's Victor Orta, that doesn't mean it's come from above. Well, now you've got the chief executive also saying it in the program notes. Let's be brutally honest, everybody. If Victor Orta is saying it, then it's a top-down message. It's not just from him. He's not going out on a whim and just saying it. And the reason I'm covering all these points is because going into the summer, we need to really specify what players are going to be moved on and what players are going to be coming in. Now, we touched on this on my review of the game the other day. If you haven't checked that out, make sure you go do so. How are Leeds going to play? How are we going to shape up? Well, what do we know about the system already? What do we know about how Jesse Marsch has tried to implement his style on these players? Well, for me, what is the stark reality at the minute is Leeds are heavy in some positions and light in others. I mean, we've already spoken about the number 9 position. Leeds have to make waves in that area of the pitch, and it can't be another season of ignoring the fact that Patrick Bamford can't do it all by himself in terms of a finishing capacity. We've seen Joe Gelhardt play spouts, and I think we're going to see more of Joe Gelhardt. I'm not 100% is that 9 position, that out-and-out number 9. I think if you're playing Joe Gelhardt, you have to have a striker, an off-the-shoulder striker next to him, because I think he drops deep a lot, like we've covered on this channel. You need an out-and-out finisher in the box, which Patrick Bamford is. I think there's also a little point that we need to throw in. Aside from the Middlesbrough season, I believe it was 15-16, where he scored 18 goals, and the season last season in the Premiership, sorry, Bamford's never really had an injury-free season. He's been plagued by injuries, even when he's been at Leeds United. You look at that first season with him and Kemar Roofe, even the Championship promotion season where he scored 16 goals, there was still bouts of injury there. So I think it's key that Leeds understand that and realise that maybe the injuries won't repeat themselves because of the lack of murder ball, the lack of intensity compared to Marcelo Bielsa week in, week out. But we have to address these situations. So I think up there, we're very, very light. But I think in the attacking midfield role as well, it's going to be a huge problem for Leeds if we're not able to shoehorn players into this system. I mentioned this the other day. There's only one real comparable team in the Premier League who play that Red Bull network, and it's the team we faced at the weekend. Now, I also said at the weekend that you maybe look at those two in and behind the striker, which is the role that we need to recruit in. You look at Stuart Armstrong and you look at Elyounoussi, who are going to be favoured over players like Diallo and Nathan Redmond, who are naturally wide players. So that feeds into the question, doesn't it? It feeds into the question of what are we going to do? Because Leeds have a lot of wide options now. A lot of people might turn around and say, Connor, Helder Costa's still available. And it's quite right. I think the key thing to note with Helder Costa is I think if we get anything above 8 million, we've done an unbelievable job there. I think we're going to make an operating loss on him. But what I think is essential to talk about is I think players like him are naturally going to be moved on because he's not of the quality. He's not of the quality. I don't think he's of the position that we need as well going into next season. I think you look at someone like Dan James. I think Dan James might struggle. I think Dan James could become a bench option where he comes on and makes an impact, a la Nathan Redmond, a la Diallo for Southampton. But I think the attacking playmaker are going to be the key positions where Leeds need to recruit in. Now, what players are we talking about here? Well, players that have been reported. Minamino, Brendan Aronson. I mentioned yesterday a couple of names that I would like. Go and check that video out if you want. Ika Munyain stands out for me, who would be a dream signing. His age and his price might go against him, but you never know, do you? But Ika Munyain would fit perfectly in terms of that attacking press, in terms of being in the half spaces between the midfield and the attacking phases. He would be a wonderful acquisition for this Jesse Marsh system. But the winger is the problem, isn't it? And that's what we're talking about in this video. Helder Costa's going to be moved on. Will Crysencio Somerville get a chance? I think it'd be great to see him get a chance, but where does he fit in? He seems like he's going to be a substitute unless Jesse Marsh sticks with the 4-2-3-1 system, which I don't think that's going to happen. I think he's just adapting at the minute to what the players' needs are. We're looking at someone like Rafinha. Rafinha, I think, in the 4-2-2-2 system, I'm not saying he'd struggle, but we're not playing to his strengths. And that moves me on quite nicely to the man behind me, Jack Harrison. There's been a lot of speculation. Mike McGrath, who I respect a lot, I've told you guys this multiple times on the channel, has come out about 2 or 3 days ago and said that Patrici, who is the sporting director at Tottenham, has been advised by Andrea Pirlo to sign Jack Harrison. Why? Guys, I'm going to take credit for this as well. 3 years ago now, I said Jack Harrison, in my personal opinion, would be better in the left wing back role. The reason behind that is because I think going forward, he's all right. You know, he does get Leeds goals, but I think defensively, Jack Harrison 1v1 and his awareness, his positional awareness, just in that half space between the left back and the left winger, I think will be very, very good. He's got a lot of attributes, I think, that would fit that role very, very nicely. 3 in the back with 2 wing backs. And we know Antonio Conte likes to play with 3 at the back and with wing backs. So they are looking for a left wing back. They are looking for a right wing back. So is this an option? It looks apparently, according to Mike, that Antonio Conte wants to play him in the left wing back role, which is where I think he would do very, very well. I think he would fit that system much better than he would as an out-and-out left winger. And there's a reason Conte is going for him as a left wing back and not a left winger, because I think, you know, if we are to look, and I'm just going to flash some things up now, guys, in terms of his season so far, 8 assists, 8 goals last season, which was a good return. But I've always come on here and said I like Jack Harrison, but he's so frustrating to me. I think he's been brilliant for Leeds, an unbelievable servant for 11 million. Sorry, incredible. But I think there's so many aspects of his game that at 25 years old, I don't know if he's going to be able to drastically improve on, especially when he's been under the tutelage of Marcelo Bielsa, and those aspects of his game haven't improved that much. And that is his finishing. That's his decision making in the final third. You get spouts of it. You get spouts of unbelievable games from Jack Harrison. It's very, very rare. But, you know, I guess Crew stands out this year. At West Ham, an unbelievable game. Wolves, I thought he was decent as well. But 3 or 4 games this season are where Jack Harrison, for me, has put his head above the parapet and been very, very good. I think that's all you really get from him in terms of a 90-minute performance. I understand there's been disruption across the pitch, but I think overall you need more from him. And I've always thought that with Jack, you need a little bit more from him. A lot of people just look at output, they'll look at goals and assists, but I don't look at that. I think the general influence on a game, of course, is goals and assists, but I think the overall contribution to a football game, retaining possession, not giving balls away, combining with that midfield a little bit nicer, you know, the communication between the left back and the left winger, I think is always a little bit off. The lack of overlaps, running with his head down, giving silly fouls away. I just think there's a lot to his game that needs to be improved. And I just find this very, very interesting. I think, look at some of Jack Harrison's statistics. I think it's sort of a good indication, and not just statistics, just his overall game of where he has been for Leeds United. And I think you can tell here, obviously, he's occupying the entire left space. I think the key thing to note with Jack is he's extremely good at getting back and recovering and helping that sort of left back. And I think that's been quite an underrated element of his game, to be quite honest with you. I think just with Jack, it is just going forward. I think it's the consistency. And I think that's sort of reflected, really. If we just look at the games here and we just look at the overall complexion of his season. So obviously the ratings here, he's very, very consistent in terms of being available for selection, but there's not really been standout games. A lot of 6s here, maybe a 7 there against Burnley. I know ratings are subjective, but you just look at this period of time here for 5 games. He was really, really out of pomp and out of I don't know. out of favour, really, in terms of stepping up in the big moments. But listen, I mean, against West Ham here, he's absolutely fantastic. But Newcastle, the game afterwards, he was really out of it. And then once again, it's been a sort of run of games where, to be fair, under Jesse Marsch, he has improved a little bit. Obviously, with us manipulating the situation into Bielsa, but new Jesse Marsch style. And new Jesse Marsch style, so it's been a combination. So it looks like he was really struggling under Bielsa, but he has improved a little bit. But I don't know. I think overall, it would depend on the money that would be able to get for Jack, but I'm still not 100% sure on whether or not Jack is going to develop anymore at Leeds United. And if we can get some good money for him, if we can actually put that money into players that are going to fit into the system, i.e. Brennan Aronson, Minamino, whoever, I would be absolutely fine with that. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, guys. If a big bid came in for Jack Harrison, would you be okay with it? How much money would you want for him? And try not to think about the sentiment once again. Try not to think about what's happened. Try to think about the season that we've had with Jack and whether or not he will be able to fit into this system going forward. I think just yesterday, a lot of Jesse Marsch shouting at him. A lot of Jesse Marsch shouting at him, come over, Jack, come over. Second balls. He's all about playing as wide as he can. And I think in the long run, you're going to get not only Jack Harrison suffering in this system, but wingers suffering in the system. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, guys. Have a great day, and I'll see you in a bit.